So you want to know how to increase your Google My Business reviews. How can you add reviews? How can you make sure that those reviews continue to build over time? And where do these reviews actually come from? How do you get them? How do you make it easy for your customers to make sure that they add reviews as soon as they're happy with your product or your service? And also, what pitfalls can you avoid? And also, I'm going to reveal the 7 top tips of how you can increase your reviews over the coming few weeks and months ahead. So welcome to my video. So I'm Zane from Zanet Design, and I help businesses grow on the internet, and by using various methods in SEO, WordPress websites, mobile friendly websites, and particularly advertising through Google My Business, a free way of advertising locally, I help small businesses build traction and grow their audience. So these videos are ideal for you. No doubt you've seen the previous videos that have shown you how reviews work and what's some of the things you need to do to increase your reviews. But today we're going to see how you can add more reviews, how you can increase these reviews from your customers, which will then enable people to build more confidence in your business. Now, many will know that Google want your business to have reviews. You may have seen a local recent advert, and maybe in your country, locally, Google have been advertising too. Here we see Google really wants customers to review businesses.
Support local businesses you love with a little help from Google.
Why? Well, because if Google My Business becomes a reliable place for customers to go to, then Google has a viable product that they can advertise on. They've made a channel that's become the latest way of checking a trade, making sure a trade or a business is authentic and true. And in effect, they then have control over local businesses. And of course, if you spread that throughout the world, that's another remarkable control that Google owns. And they can advertise too, and they may even charge for Google My Business in the coming years ahead. So let's never forget, Google is a business, and they see reviews as an important part of growing their business too. But how important is growing your reviews for you today, while it's free and while it's quite easy to do, and while Google's backing you and giving you all the tools you need to do that? Well, I'm going to show you 7 things that you can do that will enable you to get reviews today. 7 top tips that I use to build my reviews and so that I continue to build traction and credibility for my business. But before we go on to those, let's just cover a couple of things of why are reviews so important to your next customer or your next client. Well, think about when you last researched something that you wanted to buy. Did you go to a place, an online place, to see what the reviews were for that product? Did you read maybe what others have said about it before they bought it or before you bought it? Did you read to see what the reviews were? Well, the chances are you did. We tend to work that way, that before we purchase something, we read a review. In fact, Bright Local did a research to see that 90% of customers will read an online review before making a purchase. So basically everyone needs reviews before trusting a business and then employing that company or that business for their services or their product. But before we go into those 7 things that I do to get more reviews, there are just a few areas of caution. If you do a search on the internet, there are many people offering fake reviews. They're offering reviews where you can purchase these reviews. Now, Google's working against that because you can't trust a review if it's been put there because someone's been paid to write that review. That's not a genuine review. So if you want to do this properly, and if you want to go about this on a long-term basis, then don't bribe people or pay people to write reviews. They will be removed over time. Very few, if any, even make it. So try and have genuine, authentic reviews for your business. That's the first thing to bear in mind. A second thing is avoid putting too many reviews up in one go. So you may ask several customers, could you have a review? Maybe 1 or 2 will write a review for you today. But if you were to spam, say, 10,000 people to ask for reviews, and let's just say 1% of them responded, so was it about 100 people, then wrote a review all on the same day, well, that could also ring alarm bells as far as Google's concerned. So they might even be genuine reviews, but just try and perhaps take time to get those reviews in. Maybe just aim for a few a week, certainly no more than a few a day. And then that would also just look like an authentic amount of reviews. In fact, reviews over a period of time is far more authentic from Google's point of view and also from customers' points of view as well. Now, some of you have asked, well, why is it my reviews are not showing? And there can be a few things for that. Sometimes Google just triggers something, a word's used, and Google just doesn't show it for some time. Then it gets manually reviewed. And if it's a genuine review, you may see that a month or two later, suddenly that review appears. So that's been my experience. Another thing as well is if you're asking people to write reviews, but it keeps telling Google it's from the same area, the same IP address, that also can sometimes trigger something with Google where those reviews don't get shown. I'll give you an example. If you were a reception desk and each person that came as a client to your reception, before they left as a happy customer, you said, would you mind writing a quick review on Google? Let's imagine you had a tablet there and they just filled out a couple of forms and they then pressed enter and that gave you a Google review, which is quite authentic in itself. But what Google sees is all these people giving reviews from the same IP address, the same internet provider, which is in fact your hotel reception or wherever it is. What does that mean to Google? Well, Google may trigger that as being that they're all coming from one area, and it's then thinking maybe it's one person behind those things. Now, in that case, it's not. So is there a way around that? Well, yes, there is. What you need to do really is say to your customers, your clients, are they happy to leave a review? They say yes. And rather than keep providing your tablet, ask if they could just do it on their phone. Now, on their phone, of course, it will have potentially a different IP address, particularly if it's using a different network. And in that way, then there's no issues at all. Or maybe you could just ask them if they could write a review in the next 24 hours. And wherever they end up outside of your reception desk, they might then do it a bit later on. So that's a key thing, is just trying to really get reviews to be authentic, and also believable, and also to try and avoid those types of areas which aren't necessarily wrong. It's just the way that Google at the moment is triggering certain reviews to not be shown. And of course, the final thing is never pay for reviews or give people an incentive to give a review, because that breaks Google's guidelines. And again, that's for long-term benefits. That's not the way to go. Okay, so where are the reviews? Where do you get the link for a review? Is a way of getting a short link to make it even easier for someone to give a positive review. And also, what about those 7 tips, top tips that I use to get more reviews? Well, let's dive straight in and we'll go through those together.
First question most people are asking is, where are they? Where do I get the link that takes people through to reviews? And fortunately, Google have made this nice and easy now. You type in your company name, so in my case, Zanet Design, and the easiest way to get reviews and to get the links to reviews is to click on here. And I've got this little man here, share review form. That's probably the easiest way. So if I click on that, and there it just gives me a link, and that will then enable me to either email it through to someone that wants to give me a review. I can use other social media, or I can just copy that link and then put it wherever I need to put it. Go to reviews on the left hand side, you'll notice that it's also worth just making sure that you've replied to your reviews and that you then catch up on those that you haven't replied to as well. So that's worth mentioning. So I've put Zanet Design as my short name link, and then if I want to share that review, that link, then you'll notice on this here, you notice that that's what comes through. So it's a g/Zanet Design. So that bit there you can control. And then all that follows is the word review afterwards. So I'm now going to come on to the 7 ways in which you can use that review to get more reviews. So this is the key part to this tutorial really. And to do that, I'm first of all just going to take you to this particular area here. This is called a QR code generator. So you may just want to get a QR code on your business card. So just think about if you have a business card like this, and then you have your logo and you have Scan Me. That's a great way, isn't it, of getting more reviews. So when people deal with you, then maybe then they can just scan that on their phone, and immediately that takes them then to the area where they can put a review for your business. And you may feel, well, isn't that going to encourage lots of bad reviews? But most people that are inclined to give a review will give a good review. And if they're not inclined to give a review, they won't put anything at all. So on the whole, majority of people want to support other businesses, and they will give a good review if they feel they've had a good service. That's the URL that I'm using for my reviews. I click that in, so if I just enter that, and that then produces this different QR code. You can have different ways in which it's viewed, and again, it's free to sign up. You can have it in different ways as well, but that may just encourage some extra reviews if it's on your business cards. You can use that, of course, on other areas like invoices and so on too. The next option I wanted to look at is that of your Google My Business marketing kit. So a lot of people don't realize they've got a free marketing kit with Google if you've signed up to Google My Business. So I'll put the address down below, but if I just type in my business here, it will then locate it. You click find it. So just make sure that you've got the right business in place, and you can go through this, but you'll notice a lot of it is to do with the reviews you already have. And like, for example, here, you can get this, you can download this. Let's go to this one, so review us. So you may want to download this and then print it. You can put it as a sticker in your window of your shop. And as you go through here, you'll see even things like the QR code to review us is there as well. It's all free. You can customize it. So it'd be silly really not to use these to customize your reviews and to help others to see how they also can give a review. So things like this, we're proud to be a 5-star business. So it's marketingkit.withgoogle.com. I'll put a link down below for you. So that's the second area in which you can put marketing in your website or within your shop window. Now the third area is just a case of asking people for a favor. So asking them, could they give you a review via an email? So say you've got a really happy customer, they say, oh, thanks ever so much for the service you've given. When you then reply, why not put in that email something that then inclines them to give you a review? You know it's going to be positive because they've just said how pleased they are with the service you've just given. And again, that's probably the best time to get a review is when you're getting positive feedback. So let me show you how that would work. So this is one of my emails that I use when I speak to customers. So I just read it through. It just says hi, and then obviously their name. I'm currently after some reviews to help boost my profile in Google. As you're aware of my work, would you mind helping me out with a review and even a screenshot if possible? You can review me at, and then give the address. And of course, if you send this via email, then that will probably just directly link through to that review. You know where I've got that from because I showed you in the previous step. Many thanks, Zane from Zanet Design. So you may think to yourself, oh, people aren't going to respond to that, are they? But most people, if you entitle the email, can you do me a favor? Most people, if they feel it's going to take 1 or 2 minutes to help someone out, and particularly if they're pleased with what you've done, they're more than happy to give a review. So try it. And again, don't overdo it, but just do it with those that are happy with your business and see if you get some quick results today. So the next area is to just really ask your customers that you've already done business with. Maybe you've got customers you've known for many years. So ask them as well, again, in a similar way to that email, that would they mind doing a favour and just giving a quick review for your business as a way of supporting it, as a way of helping others discover your business too. And the simple way to do that would really to be go to your place where you have your invoices or where you've got a list of your clients that you send invoices to, and just go for each one and just then customize an email as we saw a minute ago, and just then help them to perhaps be pointed in the right directions to the type of things you want mentioned in the review. So that would be another recommendation I'd have. So asking directly is one thing, but also you can do this via email signature as well. So there's plenty of online, if you do a search, you'll see some online areas and blogs that explain how you can add this to your signature. So this example here is how we're doing, leave us a Google review, or this one's for Facebook as well. You just then link it through. So it's like a link through to that URL that we looked at previously. And then when they click on that in your email signature, it takes them through to the place where they can then leave a review. So the sixth area would be just to consider where you've already got reviews. So maybe you've got reviews on LinkedIn from the past, and maybe other social media platforms like on Facebook, maybe you've had reviews there as well. maybe even on things like Checkertrade or Yellow Pages, but just go to the areas where you've been before, where you've been given positive reviews. I want to ask them if they can also give the same review or a revised review on the Google My Business area. And again, if people have given reviews in the past, they're more likely to give you a review straight away thereafter. So that would be the 6th area. And then the final area would be just to go to your invoices. So a bit like the signature on an email, but also on your invoice, you may find that there's areas where you can then leave a link to send them through to giving a positive review. Sometimes on the footer of a invoice you can leave a logo, or you can also leave perhaps something like this we used here, this type of image. And as a bonus tip really, when you're getting reviews from people, just try and steer them in the direction that you want the review to go. So mention that you want genuine commendation, because that's important, but also try and get them to include local information, maybe some keywords that relate to your services, maybe a photo as well. As I showed earlier, having photos makes a big impact on how Google views you. And also always reply. So going back to this here, I want you to make sure that when you go to your reviews, click on the haven't replied and make sure this is clear, because you should thank everyone for their review. If they've taken time out, then you need to take time out to thank them back. And also don't just say thanks, but then use that as an opportunity to put more keywords that are relevant to your business. So it gives Google the right understanding as to what it is that you're so good at that people are currently reviewing. So don't try and make it a mystery, but try and help Google along the way. And of course, with great loyalty comes great referrals. So people will then be loyal to you. They say that more than half of consumers who have a good experience with a brand are happy to recommend it. So there's 50% of your people out there are happy to give you a review today. Don't overdo it, but look forward to getting plenty of more reviews in the coming weeks ahead.
So we've got these 7 ways of adding reviews in mind, but there are a few other things we need to bear in mind too. Now, if you've enjoyed this video so far, then make sure you give it a thumbs up. And also, if you've got a particular way in which you're adding your reviews, or if you're going to use one of those 7 things I mentioned, just put it down below. It'd be good just to get an idea as to which one of these things really appealed most to my audience. So you've now got all these great reviews, you've got a good ranking score as well. How can you show them off then on Facebook and on your website and on other devices? Well, if you haven't seen this already, don't miss this video. It's going to show you exactly how you can do that. But of course, what happens if you get a bad review or even a fake review? Can you remove it? Well, yes, you can. There are ways to go about that. So make sure you see this video that's going to show you how you can remove that fake review. So I look forward to seeing you on either of those videos for the next catch up.